Hi there, my name is Shanna and I am with travelwithshanna.com, and today I have some really good reasons why you need to take your kids to Europe. Now, the reason I started thinking about this the other day, because I was having a conversation with somebody and they mentioned to me that most people, in their opinion, don't consider taking their kids to Europe. They consider that to be more of an adult trip where they leave the kids at home. And this perspective had never even really occurred to me because we have taken our kids on every trip we've taken to Europe since they were born, since they were with us, and I wouldn't ever consider possibly even thinking about doing it any other way. So this really just blew my doors open. And so I started thinking about all of the good reasons to include your kids on your next trip to Europe. Now, I think a lot of people think this because they think of Europe just as boring kid stuff, museums and churches and, little coffee shops and things that really aren't that interesting to kids. But what we have found is our kids really like some of the other things that Europe has to offer. We're really careful. We are picky about the museums that we choose, but, the wonderful markets and the food and the beautiful parks, the trains. Kids love trains. I remember we took an amazing trip with our kids across Switzerland on the train. So there are a lot of really kid-friendly things about Europe. So the first reason I have to take your kids to Europe is because I really feel like visiting Europe gives kids a deeper sense of belonging in the world. Because here in the U.S., things are relatively new. We are a kind of a new country. A lot of the buildings are relatively new. And when you go to Europe and you see churches that are thousands of years old, you see, structures, Stonehenge and some of the Neolithic burial structures that are tens of thousands of years old, it just really gives you a better sense of the span of time and of belonging in the world. And that's especially true if you are of European descent and you are visiting somewhere over there where you have some family heritage. And that's another layer that can give your kids a deeper sense of meaning in the world and a better perspective on history. So that's reason number one. Reason number two that I think that you should take your kids to Europe, because Europe, a lot of places in Europe have vastly different priorities, let's say, than here in the U.S. A lot of places in Europe, and I'm thinking like the south of France and Italy and Greece, Spain, value really good fresh foods, and they value a different pace of life. Things just move at a slower pace. If you spend a week in the south of France, things just move more slowly. It's a more relaxed lifestyle, and there is more time for enjoying and savoring those nice things in life. And I just really think that in the busyness that we experience here in the United States, that can be really valuable for kids to learn. I'm thinking of things like slowly exploring the markets, trying different foods. I'm thinking about all the times that we just spend hanging out in the evenings after it cooled off at different playgrounds around Europe. I mean, we spent this, I remember when my son was like 8 months old, it was like 9 o'clock at night and we were just hanging out on a playground in Nice, France, playing with the other kids and just really experiencing that local culture and slowing down and taking time to enjoy. So those are some of the experiences that we've had that our kids have really enjoyed. Now, the third thing that I have to say about why you should really take your kids to Europe is Europe, because it's geographically a lot of little countries, some of which are some of the size of some states here in the U.S., some even smaller. Geographically, it's a really great way to experience a lot of different cultural influences in one trip, because each one of those countries has a distinctly different culture and language. And so it's a really great way to expose your kids to a number of different cultures. I mean, in a 1 week trip to Europe, you could do two countries. You know, in a 2 week trip, you could do 2 or 3 countries, depending on how big they are and how far apart they were, and really give your kids a good slice of different cultures. So I do want to say one other thing about planning a trip to Europe with kids is that it is not necessarily going to be the same trip that you would take if it was just you going. And that's okay. You know, you're not going to be able to pack in as many museums or churches as you maybe would have. You know, things like long, detailed historical tours, you know, and walking tours and things like that, depending on the age of your kids, may be out. So I'm not saying it's going to be the same trip, but in a replacement of that, you will get other things. You will get exploring local markets, like I said. You will get time hanging out in parks. You will get other things, and it's not saying you can't do those museums, you can't do some of those things, but it's just having a successful trip with kids to Europe is just about the balance and about making sure that everybody has something to look forward to that they will enjoy. So I've got a couple resources for you. First of all, if you would like more family travel, if you would like to really move the needle on some of your bucket list family trips and make those happen, I have a really great family travel Facebook group where we dive into the nuts and bolts, not just of travel and not just of destinations, but of really how to eliminate the obstacles that are keeping you from traveling and how to make those family trips happen now while your kids are young, before they grow up. So if you would like to get in on that, here is the link for our family travel Facebook group. And if you are thinking about a trip to Europe, if you are thinking about planning a trip to Europe with your kids, we have done Europe a number of times. I've been all over Europe. We've done it with kids. We've done it without kids. I would love to help you with that, and I've got a lot of great resources to do that. I'm a travel agent, and so that's kind of my thing, specializing in family travel. I love to plan trips that are really going to be a good balance of keeping everybody happy and have a little something for everybody. So if you could use some help planning a trip to Europe, please do contact me. I'm going to pop my contact information up here at the end of this video, but you can email me here, and I would love to help you get that set up and get that rolling. So that was 3 reasons to take your kids to Europe. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you have the best day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.